think we will have to rise, but then this debate will continue next week, Wednesday. And the following members are on the first shot or bite will be by the Honorable Nyakundi, and Honorable MP for Mandera North, Bashir, MP for Moyale Jaldesa. I hope I've not left. And the Honorable Karemba. And the gracious lady from from Teso, of course, Teso South. The lady who floors men. The Queen of Teso. Thank you very much. That's the order in which you're going to have, you will have, that's the order. Honorable members, in the meantime, the time being 1 o'clock or 1 or 2 minutes past 1 o'clock, the House stands adjourned until today, which is Wednesday, the 11th of June, the year 2025 at 2:30 p.m.
Had prepared to receive the Cabinet Secretary for Interior. Of course, there are various questions that had been forwarded to him prior to his appearance this morning to respond to those concerns. However, you will also recall that during Tuesday afternoon sitting, that is 10th June 2025, members of the Senate raised concern with regards to the mysterious death of the 31-year-old Alberto Juang, who died in police custody. And it is an issue that was raised on the floor of the House last afternoon. And with regards, the Speaker gave a directive that much as the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration had already been invited to appear before the Senate, this time he will be required to appear before the Senate, accompanied by the Inspector General of Police, the chairpersons of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, and also the chairperson of the National Police Service Commission. This is regarding the safety and well-being of arrested persons in police custody, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert Ojwang. So that particular directive by the Speaker last afternoon is the business that will also form part of the business that will be considered this morning. Remember, this business this particular morning will commence as usual, and then the leader of the majority party will move a motion. This particular motion will be with regards to temporary suspension over sitting pursuant to the Standing Order 38, of course, for the House to be able to consider that particular business. In this particular motion, it indicates that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 38, paragraph 1, the Senate suspends its proceedings for not more than 2 hours in order to allow senators to efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, the chairpersons of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, commonly referred to as IPOA, and also the chairperson of the National Police Service Commission, commonly referred to as NPSC, and that is with regards to the issues that the senators, or the concerns that the senators raised on the floor of the House regarding the safety of Kenyans arrested and held in police custody, and of course narrowing it down to the particular matter on the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert Ojwang. That is the Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, making his way into the chamber. He will be presiding over this morning's sitting. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with KBC. Good morning.
Na tuombe. Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka. Sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba utuajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote atakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, the prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, the House has not quorated yet for the business to be able to commence, or the sitting of the Senate to commence. And that is why we have that particular quorum bell currently underway, just to alert the members of the Senate who may be within the precincts of Parliament, but yet to make their way into the chambers to at least hasten their steps and be able to join their colleagues inside the chambers, to be able to allow the House raise that much needed quorum for the House to be able to commence its business. And the business lined up for consideration this morning, as is the tradition, appearance of Cabinet Secretary before the plenary sitting to respond to various concerns raised by members. These questions are usually forwarded to the Cabinet Secretary prior to their appearance on the floor of the House. And this morning, much as the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration had already been invited for the question, there are concerns that the members of the Senate in Tuesday afternoon sitting raised with regards to the mysterious death of the 31-year-old blogger, that is Albert Ojwang, who died in police custody. These are concerns that the members of the Senate raised and calling for the appearance or having the top security organs appear before the Senate. Now, the business of the day will commence as the Speaker make that directive for the appearance of the top security organs. Now, during the motion, when the members or the security apparatus will be appearing before the Senate, the mess will be lowered, as is normally during a committee of the whole. However, this is with regards to the consideration over the matters that the members will, or rather raised yesterday. And the Cabinet Secretary will not be sitting at the front, or rather the right side of the Speaker. However, we shall be seeing them taking their positions at the back, that is right immediately next to the entrance of the Senate chambers. and they will be able to respond to the questions or concerns that the members of the Senate, as they convene this morning, will be having regarding the safety and well-being of arrested persons in police custody, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert Ojwang. So the business this morning will commence as normal, but later the mess which is normally raised up there at the dispatch will be lowered, as is in a committee of the whole for this particular motion, or for the invited guests to be able to engage the House on the questions or the concerns that the senators have this morning. So if you're just joining us, is that the House is about to commence its business. The quorum of the House has not been raised yet. There is a quorum hitch. We have just seen the leader of the majority party counting the members already inside the chambers to see whether the quorum has been raised yet. However, if that quorum bell is not on, then clearly it means that the quorum has not been raised. But as you can see at the entrance of the chambers, members making their way inside. Once that quorum is raised, then we shall be able to let you into the proceedings that will be taking place this morning. As is the tradition, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, who had earlier on been invited or was expected to appear before the Senate to respond to concerns by the members, coincidentally happened that this morning will be required to be accompanied by top security apparatus in the country, and that is the Inspector General of Police, the chairperson of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, and the National Police Service Commission. All this stemming from the concerns that have been raised by the senators on matters of well-being and safety of Kenyans in police custody. And of course, you will recall that all this has been with regards to the circumstances that surround the death of Albert Ojwang on Tuesday, as the members of the Senate responded to statements or a statement by one of their own regarding the situation on the death of Albert Ojwang, vehemently condemned that particular situation or occurrence, indicating that the late Ojwang, much as he had been arrested, would have been taken to the local police station in Homa Bay County, and the proceedings or the matters with regards to any issues concerning his arrest and any accusations or charges that were being leveled against him be handled from the local courts, and were raising concerns on why he had to be transferred all the way to Nairobi, and thereon, or rather thereafter, his untimely demise. So those are concerns that the members of the Senate this morning will be seeking answers to, and not just from the Cabinet Secretary, but also from the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, who will be accompanying the Cabinet Secretary to help him give responses or explanations to that particular issue, as the members of the Senate will be interrogating the Cabinet Secretary to be able to get answers to the questions or the concerns that members of the public also have. And the session or the sitting, as you can see, has commenced. Normally, we are just waiting for the quorum to be attained. Remember, during the interrogation time inside the Senate chambers, the mass will be lowered, but the Speaker will stick to his position where he normally sits and be able to guide the proceedings. And of course, we expect that the Speaker as well, before the whole session begins, will give a communication to the members of the Senate to be able to make the public understand on the program or how they allow me to hand it over to the business.
Take your seats. Clerk, you may proceed to call the first order, please.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Next order. Next order.
Order number 8, the Business Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 51 of 2024. Second reading, mover to reply.
Majority Leader, being the mover of this business, you may now proceed to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank all the colleagues who took time to speak to this very, very fundamental bill with regards to making Kenya a globally competitive business hub. Mr. Speaker, like I mentioned when I was moving this bill, this is perhaps the most bold of reforms that we have seen in creating Kenya into a competitive business environment and making sure that we can compete globally. And I observed, Mr. Speaker, that there is nothing out of the ordinary that we're actually doing as a country. We are doing what others have been able to do and ended up being better than us, even in spaces that we excelled in. There are countries, Mr. Speaker, that came here in the 60s, 70s, in the 80s, copied the things that we were doing, and have now since done them better than us, and have their sectors actually performing better than ours, thanks to perfect implementation of laws as they are. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, and I listened to many colleagues when they spoke to this bill, we don't seem to appreciate that the world is evolving and doing so at an extremely fast pace, Mr. Speaker, and therefore presenting us with the need to ensure that as a society, as a country, we do things like they are done in other parts of the world. Mr. Speaker, there seems to be a lack of realization on our part as a country that when those with the means and the ways to move the economies of the world sit down in their offices in the poshy capitals of the world, they don't look at us from an empathy perspective. They look at us in form of numbers. How competitive are we? How easy is it to do business in this country, Mr. Speaker? And there are so many bureaucratical bottlenecks, Mr. Speaker, that reduce us and have made us to be a laughing stock. Many people, Mr. Speaker, if you speak to people in the business world, and I have seen, if you recall, Mr. Speaker, last year, I think you led us in Mombasa. We had engagement with KEPSA, Mr. Speaker. And you listened to the kind of things they were telling us. why they feel that as a country, as parliament, that is the legislature, we need to up our game and ensure, Mr. Speaker, that we amend the various laws, Mr. Speaker, to make them compliant with the demands of the 21st century. And therefore, I listened to the colleagues that shared their thoughts, with quite a number of them proposing various further amendments, which I want to appreciate. I hope that all the senators that actually spoke and proposed amendment to this bill will ensure that they file them, Mr. Speaker, so that as we move towards voting in the committee of the whole, which probably I suspect should be when we return from the recess, Mr. Speaker, we are actually able to do it, Mr. Speaker. So I appreciate and I want to urge senators, maybe those who may not have had time to contribute to this bill, it's still important that you read it. This is an extremely important bill. It's one of the things that you'll be extremely proud of yourself later on when you look at reports from sectoral performance, from tourism, horticulture, agriculture subsector, because all those parts of, many of those laws are being actually amended to make sure that our sectors compete with the very best in the world, including BPO space, which we do so well. We have the ability, Senator Catherine, to be extremely competitive. People keep on asking us, with no offense to Indians and Philippines, that we speak better English than them. And they don't understand why our BPO space employs over and above probably 100,000 Kenyans, while in those two countries, they do, at the very minimum, 3 to 4 million people, something that we can compete with. And they have led us into listening and appreciating the things that we need to change. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I hope that colleagues will take time, those who didn't comment on this bill, to still read it and perhaps share amendments, because we still have time, Mr. Speaker, before we do third reading, most likely which will be after we return. With those main remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to reply. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order number 66.3, I beg to request that the putting of a question be deferred until a later time. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Honorable Senators, allow me to make a communication. Honorable Senators, I have a communication to make regarding the meeting between the Senate and the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration, the Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, EGH, on the circumstances surrounding the death of Mr. Albert Omondi Ojwang at the Central Police Station in Nairobi City County. Now, Honorable Senators, as you may recall, during the sitting of the Senate held yesterday, Tuesday, the 10th of June, 2025, the Senator from Migori County, Senator Eddie Okech, sought a statement pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the unfortunate death of Mr. Albert Omondi Ojwang while in custody at the Central Police Station in Nairobi. Pursuant to Standing Order 53-3, I allowed senators to make comments on the statement sought by Senator Eddie Okech. All senators who spoke on this matter expressed grave concern over the inhumane treatment and resultant death of Mr. Albert Ojwang while at the police station. The senators demanded for urgent action from the relevant government agencies, particularly the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Subsequently, following the comments by honorable senators on this statement, and in view of the urgent nature of the matter, which is of a nationwide concern, considering the expression of grief by the public, I directed that the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Interior and National Administration appears before the Senate, accompanied by the Inspector General of Police, the Chairperson of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, and the Chairperson of the National Police Service Commission to respond to the concerns from senators for and on behalf of the people they represent. The matter at hand relates to the safety and well-being of persons in custody at police stations across the country, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the unwarranted treatment and grotesque death of Mr. Ojwang. Honorable Senators, as you may be aware, Wednesday mornings are reserved for questions to Cabinet Secretaries. However, special arrangements must be made for the Senate to engage with the Cabinet Secretary and his team on this particular issue. Consequently, I will very shortly allow the Senate Majority Leader to move a motion for the temporary suspension of this sitting pursuant to Standing Order 38. The period of suspension of the sitting shall not exceed 2 hours. This time will be used for the Senate to engage with the Cabinet Secretary and his team, after which normal business, as scheduled in the order paper, will resume, beginning with questions scheduled for reply by the Cabinet Secretary. You will acknowledge that this is indeed an unprecedented occurrence in the Senate. It is, however, necessary that this route is taken to allow for the necessary flexibility to get a report on the concrete action being undertaken by the Cabinet Secretary and his team for the Senators to effectively interrogate the matter. During the session with the Cabinet Secretary and his team, the proceedings will be open. Media access will be granted, and so is the live broadcasting of the session. Accordingly, the Hansard editor is directed to prepare a special report thereon. So, Majority Leader, you may now proceed to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the following motion, which is a temporary suspension of a sitting pursuant to Standing Order number 38. That pursuant to Standing Order number 38.1, the Senate do suspend its proceedings for not more than 2 hours in order to allow senators to efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, the chairpersons of the Independent Police Oversight Authority, IPOA, and of the National Police Service Commission regarding the safety and the well-being of arrested persons in police custody, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert Ojwang. Yesterday afternoon, Mr. Speaker, we made a resolution as a House, and I must really appreciate you, Mr. Speaker, for accommodating the views of senators when we say that we must not only appear to be doing something, but we actually must do something. Honorable colleagues, the country looks up to us at such a time as this, where a 31-year-old young father was picked up by people known to be law enforcement officers and subsequently booked into a police station, and then the report gets hazy after that. The next thing we know, the young man is lying at a morgue. Mr. Speaker, if there was ever a time that we needed to rise to the occasion as a House and ensure that we do justice for the people that we represent in this House, this is such the time, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we have made this request that you allow us, Mr. Speaker, to break from the normal session where we will ask the Cabinet Minister seated there to just respond to us. But because there are other people that we want to hear from, Mr. Speaker, particularly the chairperson of IPOA, Mr. Speaker, because there have been one too many deaths of civilians in the hands of police officers, Mr. Speaker. And those circumstances have been documented here. Members have raised statements with many such instances, Mr. Speaker. And we want to hear from them the report, how many people have so far been charged, why does investigation take so long, Mr. Speaker, what are the challenges, is there anything that as a House, Mr. Speaker, because we are a law-making entity, is it for want of sufficient laws, Mr. Speaker, that those who misuse their firearms, Mr. Speaker, are not charged? We'd wish to understand that from the gentleman who is appearing before us on behalf of IPOA. We have the Police Service Commission chairperson. This is an entity created by statute, Mr. Speaker, to handle issues of discipline, promotion, and whatnot, Mr. Speaker, in the police service. And there are many questions that arise, in particular on the conduct of police officers, Mr. Speaker. And it will be important that the Senate, on behalf of the country, is made aware of how many such incidents have been reported and what are they as a police service doing about it. There are many things that this House has raised in the past, Mr. Speaker, on the conduct of police, which this morning we finally have the opportunity to listen to, But more particularly, Mr. Speaker, is this death that has struck the conscience of the nation and brought everybody, all out, any Kenyan of goodwill, to want to know what really happened. And you know, Mr. Speaker, like I observed just as a last comment, because I don't want to take time, want to listen to the people that are appearing before us, Mr. Speaker, we were reminded yesterday that when we had the unfortunate demise of one of our colleagues, there was such serious attention to that particular matter that almost on an hourly basis, we were being briefed as a country of what happened. The motorbike that followed him, the vehicle registration, the occupants, their details. It didn't take more than 24 hours, Mr. Speaker. As it is today, there's very little that we know. I think to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Speaker, I've only seen the names of the officers who were on duty at the Central Police Station. Up to now, nobody knows who are the officers that picked young Albert Ojwang from Migori, how he was driven, what was his status when he arrived at Central Police Station. Those are things which, as a leader, you want to know, Mr. Speaker, so that you begin to appreciate the things that are before us. It is important to also hear from the Police Service Commission, Mr. Speaker, because there is a particular complex matter of the Deputy Inspector General, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Langat is a gentleman I know, a very diligent officer, but he finds himself in a situation that I don't envy. When you're the deputy of an institution and you make a complaint, which is the right thing to do, that when you feel your rights have been violated, you make a complaint. But unfortunately, the situation gets complicated by the fact that officers who report to him went and picked this particular young man, and that particular young man died under very mysterious circumstances. Mr. Speaker, it would have been neater if it was up to me to advise Mr. Langat that nobody has said that you're guilty, but for the country to appreciate, and for myself, even as your friend, to appreciate and be clear of my conscience that what really happened, that you step aside until investigations are concluded, Mr. Speaker, so that we appreciate and we know what really happened. Otherwise, as it is, no person of good conscience, even if you are to remain and stand firm and the things that are being said about it, absolving you, but that is just, it's not in my place. It's the chairperson of the Police Service Commission to tell us how such matters are to be handled, Mr. Speaker. If it was a separate institution that was handling, then by very well reporting and making reports, Mr. Speaker, about what happened, people will have appreciated that he did the right thing. I don't want to indulge, Mr. Speaker, into the pros and the cons of what is before us, Mr. Speaker. What is important is senators to take this time to appreciate what is before us, a very solemn moment for the country, and for the country to watch and listen and get to learn. With those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move this motion and request the Senator for Kitui, the Deputy Leader of Minority, to second, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the Speaker, for this opportunity to second the motion as moved by the Majority Leader, the suspension of a debate to listen to and interrogate the CS in charge of security, the chair of the National Police Service, the chair of IPOA, and the Inspector General of Police on matters in security, and specifically the murder of Albert Omondi Ojwang. Mr. Speaker, one person that is glued on their television this morning is the father of Albert. We have an opportunity that perhaps he doesn't have. whatever it is that you're going to do, Mr. Speaker, when those officers appear before us, we must know that our first responsibility is to the father of Albert to get answers for him. Who killed his son? And why was that son killed? Mr. Speaker, I think if we can achieve that within the first 20, 30 minutes, we'll begin the process of closure for a father who is mourning his son. The Speaker, there are children, school children in Taita Taveta who are glued on their televisions and they want to know who killed their teacher and why their teacher was killed. Speaker, these are very, very heavy assignment that we have today. We must, all of us, rise to the occasion, Mr. Speaker, and transact this matter in the most objective way that we can ever do. We make sure that we get answers for Kenyans and for the family, relatives, and friends of Albert. The Speaker, as I conclude, there is an aspect in this incident that we need to get clarity on. Those of us who have interacted with the National Police Service, we know, Mr. Speaker, that there is always this operational tiff between CID officers and the regular police officers. You know, the CID officers don't have cells of their own. So they arrest whoever they arrest, and they book them in cells in police stations. The Speaker, the officers that arrested Albert, were they from the regular police or were they from the CID department? And when they arrested him, where they arrested him was Nairobi Central Police Station, the first destination in Nairobi? Or is it possible that this young man was tortured and beaten up, almost killed in a different place, and brought to the station almost dead? Mr. Speaker, these are important questions for us to ask so that we direct and assign responsibility where it belongs. I associate myself fully with the comments of the Majority Leader in relation to the DIG, Mr. Lagat, who is also known to me. The Speaker, perhaps what he did in reporting harassment, perhaps the reporting was the right thing to do. It is the right thing to do. To report that I feel harassed, somebody is really attacking me. That's the right thing to do. But what followed after that, Mr. Speaker? And for purposes of closure, for purposes of bringing calm in the country, perhaps what the DIG should have done by now is to say, I acted in good faith, and as a demonstration of that good faith and continuation of that good faith, I'm leaving office. Let investigations continue. If I'm found culpable, I should be taken to court. If I am exonerated, I go back to service because I did the right thing. That is how you bring closure to a matter like this. The Speaker, my wife is telling me we need to start, and I agree with him. With those many remarks, the Speaker, I second.
Honorable Senators, I will now propose the question that pursuant to Standing Order 38.1, the Senate do suspend its proceedings for not more than 2 hours in order to allow senators to efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary for Interior National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, the chairpersons of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority and that of the National Police Service Commission regarding the safety and well-being of arrested persons in police custody, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert Ojwang. Now, honorable senators, this is a procedural motion. We need not debate on it. With your concurrence, I may proceed to put the question. Thank you. I will therefore proceed to put the question. That pursuant to Standing Order 38.1, the Senate do suspend its proceedings for not more than 2 hours in order to allow senators to efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Inspector General of Police, and the chairpersons of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority and that of the National Police Service Commission regarding the safety and well-being of arrested persons in police custody, and in particular the circumstances surrounding the death of Albert Ojwang. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Now, Clerk, you, as the Sergeant at Arms, Lord the Mess, kindly usher in the CS and his team.
Well, the business of the House has commenced, and we have seen the leader of the majority move the motion to have the House temporarily suspended, or rather the sitting temporarily suspended, of course, to allow the senators efficiently interrogate the Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, with his team, Right now, what we are waiting for is for them to be ushered in. We have seen the Sergeant at Arms setting up the stand that is right at the entrance of the Senate chambers. That is where the team or the security personnel that will be appearing before the Senate this morning will be taking their positions. The communication from the Speaker indicated that this will be a live broadcast. Of course, the media is also allowed in to be able to follow up on the proceedings. That is the Cabinet Secretary taking his position, the IG, and once the Cabinet Secretary and his team have taken their positions, then the proceedings will continue. We have seen the mess being covered. That is, if the House is the sitting is suspended, normally the mess is covered, and that gives room for the Cabinet Secretary and any other person aside from the senators to be able to walk into the chamber and sit the positions that have been set aside for them to be able to work on the business that has led to their appearance before the Senate. Remember, this morning, as is the tradition, the Cabinet Secretary would have appeared for questioning, but arising from the concerns on the death of Albert Ojwang in police custody that has seen public uproar, the Senate, in a resolution, decided to invite the Cabinet Secretary, the Inspector General of Police, the chairpersons for Independent Policing Oversight Authority, as well as the National Police Service Commission chairperson, to come and shed light on the circumstances under which Albert Ojwang lost his life. Remember, he had been arrested from Homa Bay County and was transferred all the way to Nairobi. And these are questions that not just the members of the Senate would want to understand or get answers to, but the public as well, and also the family of the late Ojwang. So this is a session that will see the members of the Senate, on behalf of the public, seek answers to the concerns. Once the House is ready to commence this particular business, of course, we shall be able to let you in to listen and follow on the proceedings. But we understand that this particular business. Okay, allow me to hand you over to the proceedings.
Interior and his team in the House. Speaker, we do. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the CS, Interior and National Administration, and your team to the Senate. Now, Honorable CS, you were to appear today for purposes of responding to 15 questions that had been posed by honorable senators. However, this morning we've had to suspend the sittings of the Senate to address a matter that is extremely urgent and is of a nationwide concern. That is the matter touching on the death of one Mr. Albert Omondi Ojwang. And therefore, we have suspended the sitting of the Senate for not more than 2 hours so that we interrogate this particular matter. Thereafter, we will resume the normal flow of the order paper of the day by allowing you to respond to the questions that are scheduled for you to respond today. Once the 2 hours are done on interrogating this particular matter, you will be requested to move to the other side of the chamber where ordinarily CSs respond to questions in the Senate. So yesterday I did direct that the CS appears with the Inspector General, with the chairperson of the National Police Service Commission, and also the chairperson of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority. Can we have a confirmation that those parties are also present, Clerk? I've just asked something. Let the clerk